it's Caitlin, and in this video I'm going to talk about my reading goals for 2021. And when I say goals, I kind of mean more like general ideas of how I want to guide my reading this year, because I don't like giving myself super strict challenges to stick by, because I want my reading to feel as minimally pressured as possible, which is kind of difficult considering that all of my classes require a super large amount of reading. Kind of getting ahead of myself here because that's one of the goals. Anyways, so here are my goals. Since we're already a month into 2021, I've actually kind of already made progress, and I actually feel like I'm kind of sticking to these goals that I've had in my head since the beginning of the year. So that's kind of cool. I can actually tell you that I am going somewhere with them. And I also kind of want to make an action plan maybe with them as well. So firstly, I wanted to make sure that I didn't let big books intimidate me this year, because sometimes big books are great, sometimes they're not, but I have let them give me fear in the past, and I don't want to do that, because even though there's always this kind of external pressure to read a large quantity of books, and reading a bigger book with many pages normally intimidates me, because then it might set me behind. You know, I won't read as many books in that time. I'd just be reading one book in that time where I could have read like 2 or 3. That's an external pressure that I need to get rid of, because what if that big book is amazing, and what if it might have changed my life, or I fell in love with it, and that's a chance that I want to be more open to taking this coming year. Secondly, I want to allow myself to read newer releases, or books that I don't own, books I have to get from the library, such as books from my favorite authors that have come out recently but I don't own yet. And the reason that I say this is because I have put a very big pressure on myself to just read all of the backlist books that I have collected over many years. I still want to stick to, but at the same time, I want to achieve a sort of balance between the two, of reading things that I don't own that I really have a great eagerness to read and that I really feel like reading at the time. I want to be able to just go and pick those up. But at the same time, I really do want to get through my backlist books, because what happened for me is what I feel like happened for a lot of people when they first discovered BookTube, which is I was kind of young, probably 14-ish, 14 or 15, and obviously I'm still young, that's a stupid statement, but when I was really young, 14 or 15, I discovered BookTube. I was hearing about all these wonderful books, and so I decided to go to the secondhand bookstore all the time, and anytime I found a good deal on a book that I'd even heard of, like even if the title was like remotely familiar to me because people have been talking about it, then I thought, oh well, it's cheap, I'm gonna buy it. And so it's not that there was a great amount of money that I wasted on buying these books, it's just that I picked up far too many books in a short period of time, of those like 1 or 2 years where I first discovered BookTube, than I could maybe ever read. I did not keep my reading pace in mind. I didn't keep in mind the fact either that I was young and that my reading taste would almost certainly change in the near future, and they definitely have. But with that in mind, a lot of those books still interest me that I bought then, and so I still want to read them and I want to make them a priority. I just want to be more purposeful about going through them, so that if I'm not enjoying it, then just skip it and move on to the next one, but I want to give them a chance. And so that's my third goal of the year, is to just try and rocket through that backlist, because I eventually want to have the sort of reading environment for myself where I go to the bookstore or the library and pick up several books, like a small stack that I want to read, and then come home, read those, and then repeat the cycle on and on. I think that is a very healthy and great way to consume literature, and that's personally what I want to do. I don't think it's a bad thing if anybody disagrees with that or wants to have like a huge collection of books and then just pick through them like over time, because obviously that's kind of what I'm doing right now, even though I didn't intend for that to happen. But that's my goal for the future, and obviously I know that it was a privilege to be able to spend the money to buy these books at that point in time, to have saved up enough money for myself at that point to where I had the liberty to go to the bookstore and buy these books that I heard about. Like, I am very aware that that is a privilege, but I'm going to make all of my measly dollars count, because I spent the money on them even if it wasn't that much money, and I want to give them the proper chance that they deserve before disavowing them. Lastly, I want to continue to read for fun amongst my class readings, which is a very general goal, but I have done very bad at that, very poorly in the past. My first 2 years of college specifically, I basically did not read anything for fun. I just read my books for class, and that was it. But I did a little bit better about it this past semester and the past year overall, I would say. I think I found that listening to audiobooks as well as like occasionally physical books while reading for class as well worked pretty well for me, surprisingly more than I thought it would. So I'm trying to continue in the future because I have such a backlist to get through and so many new releases I want to read. I want to find a really good balance between all of those things. So I kind of have an idea and I'm just toying with it. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna go through with it yet, but the idea is that I really like watching other people's TBRs and I think that they're very enjoyable. I think they're very fun, they're really motivating, and every time I watch one, I'm like, oh wow, okay, I want to go read. But I don't really make TBRs anymore because I don't like putting that pressure on myself to read a specific set of books. And I feel like many booktubers just make very large TBRs and then don't actually get to them. That's not always true, of course, but that intimidates me. And so I have an idea that I might go through with, and that is that since I like this TBR jar idea, I might create like 3 separate TBR jars, one for my backlist books, one for new releases or books that I know that my library has that I could check out, and then audiobooks that I know my library has because those have been really great for me. And I might start making small challenges for myself at the beginning of each month, such as drawing like 2 or 3 like from different jars so that I could keep those books in my mind throughout the month as books that I should make a priority if I have the time to. So that's an idea I have, and it seems really fun to me, so I think I'm going to go through with it, but not this month. I might do it next month because I have a pretty set idea of what I'm going to read this month. So here is a short reading update. In January, the first book I read of the year was Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare, and I'm not going to give like in-depth thoughts right now, but I didn't really like it that much, and it was kind of a disappointment to me overall. But this shows that I'm sticking to my goal to read bigger books this year and not let them scare me, because this is like 700 pages and I was so scared to read it. And yeah, it didn't turn out to be the greatest book. I didn't really feel like the 700 pages were worth it, but it didn't scare me and I got through it, and I don't care that I'm behind on my reading goal. That doesn't matter. The only other thing I read in January was A Mercy by Toni Morrison, and this was the first book that I read in a Toni Morrison class that I'm taking, so I'm very excited about that. So this was our first read, and I love this. 5 stars. It was incredible. I could talk about this more at a different time, but this makes me so excited to read more of Toni Morrison's works, which of course I will be doing this semester. So I have several things that I am currently reading, one of which is Delirium by Lauren Oliver. I am listening to the audiobook of this right now, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's an interesting dystopian because it's both like really similar to our reality, but also like sometimes it feels very different, and it's just one small change in that love is viewed as a disease. So yes, I've been loving listening to this. Next, I'm currently reading Beloved by Toni Morrison. I started this today. This is definitely Toni Morrison's most highly acclaimed novel because it won the Pulitzer Prize, and Toni Morrison also did win the Nobel Prize, so for a while there she was the only person to have won both the Pulitzer Prize for one of her novels and have won the Nobel Prize as an author. I've only read 27 or so pages and I'm already so into it. It's already kind of heartbreaking, already really powerful, so I am eager to see where it goes, but also kind of scared. I'm also reading, and I will be reading this for the entire semester, so I don't really know how much I'm going to talk about it, but if my reading pace is slow, so slow and almost non-existent, that is because I'm currently reading Don Quixote de la Mancha for one of my final Spanish classes as a Spanish major, and it is very intimidating because it is huge and we're reading it in Spanish because it's a Spanish course. I've read very few novels in Spanish, and so this one it's pretty scary, not gonna lie. I mean, 800 pages of the cultural equivalent of Shakespeare in Spanish. Yes, I'm terrified. At about 200 pages in already, I can tell you that it is hard. I think I'm getting better at reading it and it's getting easier as I go along, but it was a difficult time and it has taken me a lot of time to sit down and get through it, but it's all for the best. So yeah, this is also helping me with my big book goal. I'm also hoping to get to The Darkest Part of the Forest by Holly Black because I want to buddy read this with my friend Abby from Abby Wright Reads, and she has a super awesome book/journaling Instagram account, so I will link that down below because it is beautiful to look at and I love seeing her post all the time, and I'm super excited to read this with her. And depending on how this month goes, I might start reading A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas because it comes out this month, and I think I'm gonna buy it, but we'll see if I choose to do that. If I have time, I think I do want to start getting to it though, because I don't want to get spoiled. I don't want to be behind the times on this book. I want to actually be on top of it. So those are all my reading updates and my goals for the year. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and that was a lot of loose thoughts in this video, but hope you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.